The Beaver Book of Creepy Verse, chosen by Ian and Zenka Woodward, illustrated by William Gelder. Such beautiful images as this. Thanks and like and subscribe to Deck, who suggested that these videos needed more images. I've not used AI, I've used original art, given that this is a poetry book published by the Beaver Book in 1980. So I'd have been four at the time. In essence, it's an anthology of poems. Now, this is the weird bit. It's aimed at 7 to 11-year-olds. So you have the normal nicky nacky noo, twingy twangy, oh, there's a ghost that stole my handkerchief. But interspersed between it are excerpts from Macbeth, genuine superstitions, and Native American curses, making me wonder about how literacy actually worked in the 80s. Because, on one hand, I'm an educated guy, it's 2025. I should be conversant in reading all of this old English and slang and sayings. On the other hand, as a 48-year-old, I found this quite overwhelming, really, just the breadth to which it went to. I'm just going to occasionally show some of these illustrations here because the Woodwards have, frankly, gone for everything. Also, it's the structure of it. While there is obviously a theme, it's all on your own, in bed at night, moving on to witches, moving on to demons, moving on to ghosts. They are not put into any sort of chapter or thing. So they are thematically collected, yet the only things that you find, I'll talk a bit more about this at the end, is the index of titles. So it's not chronological in any way, linear in any way, and index of first lines with a massive 2-page thing, quite in depth. I do suspect this is about getting your 90p's worth. You're going to read every page of this as a kid. This, the acknowledgements from the complete poems of D.H. Lawrence. Obviously, we always think of 9-year-olds when we think of D.H. Lawrence. Um, the Two Ravens from Ian Sorella, and the Society of Authors, a literary representative for the estate of Houseman, Jonathan Cape, and Houseman, and John Wilson for A Witch's Child. I mean, this is the kicker. We hope you enjoyed this Beaver book. Here are some of the other titles. It's it's written like an academic text in that sense. Um, some of the poems themselves. Here's another illustrations. I gotta say, I found genuinely unnerving. One I'll give you an excerpt of. Firstly, let's show you this. Yeah, that's just that sort of in the darkness, you see the boy's face. Well, frankly, you do. Quiet in the dark. I woke up to the blackness, the silence of perfect night. As black as it was silent, no sound, no sign of light. I dared not cross the carpet to find the light switch on the wall. I lay dead still, as though tied down, and couldn't move at all. As though the dark pressed on my legs, as though the blanket weighed like lead, as though the silence kept my arms pinned onto my bed. I'm not going to finish the rest of the poem because, frankly, 48, I was triggered. If you've been a man who's been able to get to 50, who hasn't had that experience in the last 5 years, you have led a life of Riley I have nothing but contempt for. Not trauma, processing. Other poems include the classics like, oh, this is another thing I wanted to mention because that's what you do videos for. Whatever was going on in the 1980s, the allegory of witches as astronauts seems rife. Mainly because witches flew to the moon. There was a witch humpbacked and hooded lived by herself in a burnt out tree. When storm winds shrieked and the moon was buried, and the dark of the forest was black as black, she rose in the air like a rocket at sea, riding the wind, riding the night, riding the tempest to the moon and back. Now, that all seems good. Title of the poem, Space Traveller. There's a lot of that about. Show you a few more. Again, just uncanny images by Will Gerder there. D.H. Lawrence. Her breasts in a velvet bodice, because of course this is for 7 to 9-year-olds, as I mentioned before. This is the witch. You, proud maiden, your eyes bright pictures have caught me, and I have changed into another man. She bound her brows in a scarlet kerchief. She bound her breasts in a velvet bodice's span. She slowly closed her eyes upon me, and I have no time to bridle my horse. Ran whither I know not, where am I? D.H. Lawrence. This is supposed to be for 9 year olds. Um, Also, though, I would say that this shows you a certain austere approach to educating kids that I think not the roteness of it is that when you're a kid you don't know language, you're learning new words constantly. All the nicky nacky news of this, once you realize that words themselves as an individual word isn't as important as learning them in context and nuance, you will be able to get through Macbeth. You will be able to get through D.H. Lawrence. You will be able to get through more sophisticated concepts. You'll be filling in the blanks along the way, but you know it's a learning curve when you're 9. It threw me all the way to my first year, second, third year. I was beautiful once. At uni, we were supposed to read James Joyce's Ulysses. I threw a fit because I was the only one who was honest with his bookmark, and I'd read about 40 pages. Everyone else had kicked out at 3. Why? Because they didn't understand the words. You're not there for the words, you're there for the story. Other ones that I wanted to mention, this is it. The Cherokee Indians of North America is attributed to a spell to destroy life. Now I have come to step over your soul. I know your clan. I know your soul, your name. I have stolen your spit and buried it under earth. I bury your soul under earth. I cover you over with black rock. I cover you over with black cloth. I cover you over with black slabs. You disappear forever. There is more. But how? How in the Eurocentricities of 1980 did a Cherokee Indian curse get in here? It's also followed by Pehama's curse by Robert Southey. This is still tries to build something within its world. It's fascinating, and again, William's work is something to behold. It's is challenging. It is giving nuance. It is giving context. Uh, it's finding the unknown here as well. Some say the deals did. I'm assuming this is again. It's obviously the devil. Some say the deal's dead. The deal's dead. The deal's died. Some say the deal's died and buried in Kilcardy. Okay, now I understand why they've done this. Doesn't make it right. Some say he'll rise again, rise again, rise again. Some say he'll rise again and dance to Hale and Laddie. And as Deck knows, probably go up the stairs. If you own a Blu-ray of a film and you're in your living room, oh, there's also the normal ones of like the Snittergite, and it's available to stream if you buy it, but you have the Blu-ray up the stairs. Go up the fucking stairs. Okay, there is also just to show that there is some normal stuff in here that you would expect from a 9 year old. The Spunky, the Spunky who went like a sad little flame, all alone, all out on his oxidized Spunkies do, on a down the lane, all alone. A tinker came by that was full of ale, and into the mud he went head over tail. I mean, my personal favorite. I wrote a set of poems recently called "What a Cunt and Not a Cunt." It was supposed to be moral lessons about behaviour. He stands in line when he is in the queue. He always has a pen to hold you, 'cause he's not a cunt. He barges his way to the front of the line, shouts, "Go, be going, away!" And everyone sees him and thinks, "What a cunt." The horror of don't care. Don't care, didn't care. Don't care was wild. Don't care stole plum and pear like any beggar's child. Don't care was made to care. Don't care was hung. Don't care was put in a pot and boiled till he was done. So what a cunt and not a cunt I've binned because this exists since 1980s. I would just feel hugely derivative. Finally, I will mention there is the Crooked Pear Tree Hill. I'm not going to try and read it. It's one, two, three with an illustration, 4 pages long. You're a poetry book and you have introduced like the equivalent of the Green Knight to 9 year olds. I'm deeply impressed by this. I think it's a shame that this book doesn't exist in current print. I also think that it's a difficult. It's so difficult. I don't want to say that other stuff is dumbed down. I think there is more emotional breadth in children's books, but I think in terms of getting that right level of entertaining and teaching children about verse and about poetry, this would be, I would say, part of a definite curriculum now. So that's my view on the Beaver Book of Creepy Verse. In order to build up the algos and become more of an influencer, from now on, I'm going to release a third channel where I read one of these poems a day, while dressed as Shrek. And my father's going to cosplay Mr. Bean and interpret them via his own infusion impersonation of Mr. Bean and interpretive dance. For the likes and subscribes, y'all, is what I'm gonna do. If I wasn't a 48-year-old man who's looking for a real job, Tom Mayhew, just grow up. There's a like.